It was truly hot in the Tula region of Russia last night. One of the largest wild berries logistics hubs in Alexin was attacked. This is a huge distribution warehouse with an area of almost 200,000 square meters, which was opened just 2 years ago as a key logistics center for supplies to the central regions of Russia, from Kursk to Ryazan. More on this in the following TSN.ua report.
Dear friends, today the 16th warehouse is burning. This is Tula.
Judging by the footage from the scene, the fire has engulfed virtually the entire complex and the glow is visible for kilometers. The local governor confirmed the attack, although he traditionally claimed only that debris had fallen. However, the nature of the fire indicates significant destruction.
In general, friends, Tula is burning. I've already lost count of which warehouse is burning and which warehouse has burned to the ground. Which warehouse is more or less intact. Also, there is no information from WB accordingly. But I would like to assume that the city of Podolsk will survive. I don't know why, but Podolsk is located in a large warehouse area, and they rent either 1 or 2 blocks there. I don't remember exactly. And they are so inconspicuous. I mean, they aren't as prominent as, for example, Tula, Koledino, Elektrostal, and so on. Warehouses are burning every day. Where this will all lead is also unknown.
Number 4, I think, is burning. GBR site. So, well, one guy slipped through there in a car. Looks like he was with his own people. There's another checkpoint there anyway, because that's how it is. At the moment, this is how it is. We can't drive any further.
Explosions also rang out near one of the local gas stations in Rostov. Cars are burning one after another. There are also reports of an attack on Kazan.
Will this ever end or not, huh? War, meanwhile, people. I can hear a drone flying. There's going to be an explosion now. It's honestly quite startling to see just how many vehicles have been completely destroyed by explosions in this area. There are remnants of cars that have been blown apart, leaving behind a scene of total devastation. And even now, look, the trees are still...
There is also information about a hit on an oil refinery in Ufa.
When you look around that space, you realize your eyes are struggling to find even the faintest glimmer of light. It is an absolute, overwhelming void where everything is completely black, as if light itself has been swallowed up, leaving you in a state of total impenetrable darkness that stretches out.
Meanwhile, Volodymyr Zelensky has already approved new SBU operations. Work behind enemy lines continues.
There was a report from the SBU. I have approved new operations for the Security Service of Ukraine. Today, Alexander Poklad reported on what has been done in July. We have determined the priorities for August. I am grateful to the SBU for their strong positions. Today, there is already a report from the Ministry of Defense on the damage inflicted on the Russians in July at the front. The Alpha unit of the Security Service of Ukraine is #1 in terms of damage inflicted. They achieved the most. Simply well done. And in total, during this July at the front, 30,272 Russians were destroyed by all our units using drones.
Let us recall that on the night of August 4th, the Leningrad and Moscow regions were attacked. A giant wild berries hub was destroyed in Krasny Bor. 154,000 square meters were engulfed in flames. This was the company's last strategic warehouse in the region.
That's it, the logistics here are dead. Aren't they spraying it over there? Look, 15th warehouse. And good morning again.
Instead of long years of development, a few weeks. Instead of single expensive systems, thousands of drones. That is exactly how, according to leading Western analysts, the Ukrainian war has already changed the perception of modern warfare. Business Insider journalists who visited Ukraine for the second time this year write, the biggest change is not even the appearance of new weapon models, but the speed at which Ukrainian technologies are rapidly developing. If previously a new development went through a long cycle of testing, now engineers receive feedback directly from the military, quickly change the design or software, and the updated systems return to the battlefield in just a few weeks. The publication emphasizes that the Ukrainian defense industry is increasingly operating on the principle of a technology startup with a continuous cycle of development, testing, and improvement. Analysts at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace believe that the war in Ukraine has effectively become the beginning of a new revolution in military affairs. If just a few years ago drones were only an auxiliary tool, today they have turned into one of the main means of engagement. According to researchers, it is Ukraine today that is shaping new standards of warfare, which NATO armies are already studying closely. The Council on Foreign Relations holds a similar conclusion. They note that Ukrainian success is increasingly defined not by individual high-tech weapon systems, but by the ability to quickly scale production, implement innovations, and establish constant interaction between the military and private companies. It is precisely this model that allows for a quick response to changes on the front line and compensates for Russia's advantage in human resources and traditional types of weaponry. At the same time, Western experts point out that the next stage of development could be the combination of mass drone usage with Ukraine's own missile program. Reuters reported that Ukraine is working on creating new missile defense systems while simultaneously developing its own long-range missiles. The goal is not only to defend against Russian attacks, but also to reduce dependence on Western supplies and create its own capability for high-precision, long-range strikes. According to many military experts, it is the combination of cheap, mass-produced drones and high-precision long-range missiles that could become the next major turning point in this war. Drones are capable of overwhelming air defense systems, distracting air defense assets, and forcing the enemy to expend expensive interceptor missiles. At that moment, high-precision missiles can strike the most protected military targets, depots, command posts, or logistics hubs. The Guardian also writes that the war is increasingly turning into a technological confrontation. The publication notes that Ukraine is already systematically moving combat operations deep into Russian territory, using long-range drones to strike military, industrial, and logistics infrastructure. According to journalists, the main goal of such attacks is not only the physical destruction of individual objects, but also the exhaustion of the Russian military economy and constant pressure on the air defense system. At the same time, analysts from the Atlantic Council warn drones alone are not capable of changing the course of the war. They believe that a decisive effect is possible only when unmanned systems work in conjunction with long-range missiles, modern intelligence, electronic warfare assets, effective air defense, and stable support from allies. The general conclusion of most Western researchers today sounds the same. The war in Ukraine is already defining the future appearance of armies. If previously the outcome of battles often depended on the number of tanks or artillery, now the speed of innovation, software, artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and the ability to quickly adapt to new challenges are becoming increasingly important. It is precisely this experience that military planners in the US, NATO countries, and other states are already studying, as it may determine the nature of wars in the 21st century. And what do you think? Where will the inevitable retribution strike the Russians next time? Write to us in the comments. This was Nina Tureshina, TSN UA. Take care of yourselves and see you later.